Elon has just become the richest man on the planet. From sci-fi space enthusiast to a disruptive tech entrepreneur, he could give Iron Man a run for his money. Surpassing the likes of Jeff Bezos, he has traversed a hell of a long way ever since dropping out of Stanford University, a risk that has clearly paid off. His surge in wealth is predominantly due to his massive shareholding in Tesla, whose stock prices have exceeded expectations on all levels, increasing by a factor of 10 in the last year alone. That's over 1,000% return if you bought the stock at the beginning of 2020. So if you're watching this and you're not into the trading game, then let this be a wake-up call that you needed to hear. Mainstream media are lapping this up like a pack of hyenas, fueling the narrative of Elon versus Bezos, a rather distorted utopian derivative of Iron Man versus Lex Luthor, although there's no real evidence that Jeff is a supervillain. His employee treatment policies have a lot to be desired. On a serious note, the most important question is, how did Elon generate such a tremendous amount of wealth? Well, on the path to discovering the answer to this question, I found there is only one key principle that underpins how we became so successful in a vastly competitive market. Of course, there are a multitude of factors that govern Elon's journey to the top, but there's only one specifically that I believe really steered the ship. My aim with this video is to teach you a principle that you can apply to your own aspirations and hopefully follow in the footsteps of Elon and change the world. But before I do that, there is another principle you need to pick up first, and that's to smash that like button. My resolution in 2021 was to help more than just the members of Logikfx become successful in their lives, and hitting that like button is the only way the YouTube algorithm can help others see this video. Stripping away all facades now, growing this channel is my single goal this year, so if you want to play a massive part in my journey, hit that like button. And with that said, let's get right into the video by working out why you clicked it in the first place. Do you really care about Elon's bank account, or are you hoping that this video is a ticket to Elon's blueprint for making obscene amounts of money? Either way, the desire to amass large sums of money is a common goal amongst all of us. It holds a certain power over us that no one really likes to admit. So given the common desire, why do so many people struggle to attain large amounts of it? And more importantly, what makes Elon so good at it? A common rhetoric is just to believe it's a rigged game, to go back to your comfort zone feeling a lot better about your situation as the rich just got lucky. But what if I told you on this journey to discovering the secrets of Elon's wealth, I turned a page that connected all of the dots, a principle that was demystifying the very question that you've always asked. How can you make more money? But I warn you, the road I'm about to lead you down is filled with pain, sorrow, and a lot of self-doubt. It really isn't for everyone, and I really do hate to be cliche. The truth is, your understanding of money is an embodiment of your environment. Everything around you defines you, and especially your upbringing. The mass information that you've been exposed to regularly has developed into an echo chamber of sorts, a self-limiting belief of habits that unfortunately are the root cause of what's holding you back. Neuroscience has shown that most of our decisions, actions, emotions, and behavior depend on 95% of the brain activity that lies beyond the conscious awareness, meaning that 95 or as much as 99% of your life comes from the programming in your subconscious mind. Put simply, if you're watching Netflix, scrolling Instagram, and working a dead-end job, then your chance of just randomly knowing how to make money like Elon is virtually zero. So first, I need to deconstruct some of your preconceptions before I can reveal the life-changing findings in my research. Media has ingrained the narrative that being wealthy is a byproduct of unethical practices, evil agendas, and entitled principles of spoiled brats. But is this really true? In a recent study by WealthX Billionaire Census, they showed that the majority of ultra-rich were self-made, which basically means they did it all on their own from a position that wasn't too dissimilar to you or I right now. For example, Warren Buffett earned his first paycheck from a paper round. Jeff Bezos worked at McDonald's. Elon Musk was a dropout of university, and I'll come on to that in a bit later. And Oprah Winfrey was born in poverty. They had no handouts, no head start, and now they're the richest people on earth. So what is it that makes these people so special? Well, it's all because they understood that everyone is paid in direct proportion to the difficulty of the problems that they are solving. Put simply, if the stuff you're doing right now is easy and it doesn't require much skill, you aren't going to make much money from it. Has it ever crossed your mind why a doctor is paid more than, let's say, a janitor? Well, I thought about this a lot, and I found the answer was split into three key areas. How difficult is the problem that they're solving? How many other people can solve that problem? And how many people need or want that problem actually solved? The doctor's role is to solve a difficult problem of poor health. It takes decades of study to become qualified at treating disease, and nearly everyone on the planet will become ill at some point, unfortunately. In contrast, the janitor's role is to keep the commercial and public facilities clean and in proper working order. It takes 2 arms, 2 legs, and a bit of physical labour to solve that problem. And nearly every physically fit being can do it themselves. The number of people who need a janitor is fairly low, and the number of people who could do the job of a janitor, on the contrary, is very large. Whereas for the doctor, the demand is exceptionally high, whilst the number of doctors qualified is disproportionately lower. And that's why the doctor makes more money than the janitor. The problem the doctor solves is harder, not many people can actually solve it, and everyone will have that problem at least once in their life, so the demand's there. So what can you do with this newfound knowledge? It means that if you want to make more money, you need to solve in-demand problems, which is the complete opposite of what you've probably been taught on how to become wealthy. Most people I come across are exchanging their time for money by working a job as a means for an end, generating their so-called wealth. Whereas Elon and nearly every other billionaire that I've personally studied focuses on identifying problems and finding efficient ways to solve them. And this is the single principle that I believe has been the driver for Elon's wealth. He followed his own advice and solved the biggest problems he could possibly think of: sustainable transportation and preservation of mankind through making space travel accessible to all. Problems that are difficult and everyone will need them. And it clearly has paid off. So how do you become good at solving difficult problems too? The best way to answer this question is to learn from someone who's already good at doing it. So let's stick with the topic of the video. Let's look into Elon's past. Elon was born on June 28, 1971 in a small place called Pretoria, northeast of South Africa. This is where he spent majority of his early years with his brother Kimball and sister Tosca. His mother was a model from Canada, whilst his father was well known for mechanical engineering, owning an emerald mine in Zambia. From an early age, Elon had an exceptional desire for learning how things worked and building different types of software. By the age of 12, he showed a natural flair for software development and entrepreneurship by selling his first video game, Blastar, for $500 to PC Magazine. How many 12-year-olds do you know who did that? But it wasn't all sunshine and roses, as he was severely bullied through his childhood, with trauma still haunting him of gangs literally beating him down. His life at home was no better either, with his parents divorcing at age 10. It is common knowledge globally that Elon expressed this period of his life as simply miserable. And during this period, he idolized the works of Isaac Asimov, who was a biochemist with well-known works of science fiction. Elon alludes that his largest lesson learnt from Asimov is that he should try to take a set of actions that are likely to prolong civilization, minimize the probability of a dark age, and reduce the length of a dark age if there is one. I know, quite ambitious for a 10-year-old, but that is absolutely what is needed, I think, to achieve what he has. Fast forward to 1989, where Elon had just turned 17. He was desperately looking for a future where greater things were possible, overcoming his vastly depressing childhood. In 1992, he got accepted into the University of Pennsylvania in America, where the start of his visions really began to realize. He gained an undergraduate degree in economics and studied an additional year to get a bachelor's degree in physics. He then went on to Stanford University to pursue a PhD in energy physics before dropping out just after 2 days. The catalyst for this unorthodox event in his life was the birth of his first business, Zip2, in 1995. Co-founding this with his brother Kimball, Zip2 was essentially an online city guide which provided content for the likes of the New York Times, Chicago Tribune, and after 4 years, this business had exploded far beyond expectations. The company got acquired by Compaq, leaving Elon with a nice $22 million worth of change. Elon, being the ambitious man he is, instead of retiring and living a very comfortable lifestyle like most of us would, he invested all of his money to found another company called X.com, an online payments company that later on got acquired to grow into PayPal that we all know and use today. In October 2002, eBay bought PayPal for $1.5 billion, of which Elon owned 11% at the time, equating to a hefty $165 million to top up his bank balance. The real question is, would you have risked the full $22 million and a very comfortable retirement to do what Elon did? If the answer is no, your limiting beliefs are coming into play. So if you want to stand a chance of becoming the next Elon, Rethink your answer. And that brings us to 2003, where Elon invested his full $165 million into SpaceX and Tesla, literally making him broke and having to borrow money off friends to pay for rent to survive. A risk that is incomprehensible to those who are yet to find their life's purpose like Elon. And it was that very move where he decided to be asset rich and hold his Tesla stock, then go and borrow money instead of selling it to live off, which made him the richest man today. Tesla's stock price, as mentioned at the start of this video, has gone up by 1,000% in the past year alone. So after all of this, understanding Elon's vastly diverse history, what can we learn? The first is to set unrealistic goals and solve very difficult problems. Aim for the stars, and if you miss, you may still hit the moon. Elon very early on knew what he wanted to solve, and it was a vastly difficult problem. He set his life goal very early on, which is why he had such a head start on all his peers. Right now, I want you to assess, what goals do you have and who has inspired you? Do you have your own version of Isaac Asimov to help you find the right path to reach your goals? To make things easier, I find it's best to split your goals into 3 sections: financial, relationship, and health. Work out what is your dream for each little section that's there, then work backwards, step by step, until you know exactly what you're going to be doing right now and make the step towards each goal. The second thing we've learned is to never really give up. Elon was beaten down, not only physically, but mentally too, and yet he persevered and achieved excellent things, great things. And even to this day, he is still failing, but he never bats an eye.
When you had that third failure in a row, did you think, I need to pack this in?
Never.
Why not?
I don't ever give up.
Elon, as usual, showing exceptional grit in this particular clip, which in studies of Angela Duckworth, a researcher at the University of Pennsylvania, is the best predictor of success and ability to reach one's goals. The sooner you reframe your emotions that you attach to failure and see them for more the positive light which they actually are, success will come knocking on your door. And to close, I want to leave you with this message. Solve hard problems, eliminate your caging belief and fear of failure, and despise your comfort zone. It's really a bad place to be, I know from experience. Everything happens for a reason, and if you fail, it's the universe's way of saying you still have a chance to learn some lessons before you can actually harvest the fruits of your labor. Your job is to work out what that lesson is. So, with that said, guys, it's been an absolute pleasure, as usual, to discuss how Elon has become the richest person in the world and decipher the cryptic mysteries behind how he made it possible. If you want more in-depth content on how to trade, invest, and general success advice, why not subscribe to our channel? I'll be posting a lot more interesting topics like this going forward, so if you'd like to be the first to see it, all you got to do is click that little bell icon. It's just below the subscribe button. If you click that, you'll get notified when my next video comes out. Also, I would love to hear your experiences with failure and how you overcame it. So leave a comment below and give me an insight into your journey. I'm really interested in having good conversations with you guys. And for those of you who want to learn how to trade the financial markets in a little more detail and save a massive amount of time, effort, and research on analysis, then visit Logikfx.com. The link's in the description. You guys know what to do. Till next time, Marcus, the director at Logikfx.